It happened during a routine transit jump aboard the Divine Revelation, a vessel carrying a cargo of astropaths. Standard procedure: load them up, strap them down, and pray the journey through the warp doesn't turn your ship into a demon hive. I was the assigned commissar, tasked with maintaining morale and eliminating any psychic instability. The usual. The incident began not with screaming, but with giggling. Not the nervous, stressed giggling of a guardsman, but a high-pitched, relentless, joyous noise. The astropaths, sealed in their chambers, were the first to suffer. Their usual psychic drone, a symphony of pain and devotion, was being overwhelmed by this unbearable merriment. The astropath Prime, a blind, withered wretch named Brother Tantalus, was foaming at the mouth, his remaining sanity visibly fraying. He kept clawing at the door, screaming, not about demons or damnation, but about the laughter and the endless, meaningless optimism. That's when the first casualty occurred, a junior astropath who simply seized up, an ecstatic smile frozen on his face, dead from sheer overload. We found the source in a rarely used cargo hold near the main psychic array. It wasn't a demon, not a cultist. It was a yellow square object, roughly the size of a ration pack, standing on two tiny legs with large, bright, utterly vacant eyes. It was a sponge, a goddamn yellow sponge. My sergeant, a man who had faced down Cornate berserkers, aimed his bolt pistol, ready to purge the small, absurd thing. But he hesitated. He said later he felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to skip rope and sing sea shanties. That was the core of the problem. The anomaly, which we designated SpongeBob, emitted an aura of pure, unsanctioned, unmitigated happiness. In the warp, all emotions are fuel. Fear, hate, and ambition feed the dark gods. But joy, pure, meaningless, absurd joy, is also chaos. It doesn't serve Nurgle, Khorne, or Tzeentch. It serves only itself, and therefore it is hostile to the sacred order of the Imperium. It was a chaotic force without a master. We tried to contain it. Lasgun fire passed right through it, leaving no mark. It didn't fear the fire, didn't understand the threat. When my men charged, it didn't run. It started doing a ridiculous, shuffling jig, and a manic, high-pitched laugh echoed through the ventilation. My guardsmen didn't retreat. They were simply overcome by the urge to join in. The effect was insidious. It didn't instill fear. It suppressed dread. Dread is what keeps us alive in the 41st millennium. When you take away dread, you get recklessness, carelessness, and laughter in the face of the abyss. The ship's tech priests started singing hymns backward. The navigator painted his map with brightly colored, smiling fish. We were losing control, not to fear, but to fun. I realized the genius of this SpongeBob. It was a psychic weapon so utterly alien that the warp couldn't process it. It was too silly to be corrupted, too pure to be consumed. It didn't need to fear the warp because the reality of its own existence, talking sea creatures, magic helmets, driving licenses, was already more fundamentally absurd than any demon. The ship's command deck was a disaster. The captain, a man whose spine was made of pure steel, was trying to pilot the ship while wearing a makeshift paper hat, occasionally shouting, "I'm ready," at the Voxcaster. I had to restrain him with my own hands. That's when I understood. This wasn't mere insanity. This was total breakdown of imperial discipline through relentless, non-stop enthusiasm. The astropath Prime, Tantalus, gave me the solution before he succumbed. He whispered, "It does not hate, but it needs attention. It must be isolated from all sentient minds. It is the unholy light of sheer unfettered whimsy." He knew that in a galaxy defined by suffering, any source of absolute joy is a contaminant. We couldn't destroy it, but we could contain it. We lured the anomaly into an unused, hermetically sealed stasis chamber, one that had been reserved for warp-tainted relics. We didn't need force. We needed a distraction. We found a small, rusty lever, a non-functional control from a defunct servitor, and pretended it was a prize. The yellow thing immediately leaped into the chamber, clutching the useless piece of scrap metal and letting out a triumphant cheer. We sealed the door. The moment the chamber closed, the oppressive psychic noise, the laughter, the shanties, the unholy skipping, vanished. The ship immediately returned to its normal, miserable, orderly routine. The recovery was slow and agonizing. The crew had to be purged, not physically, but psychologically. Every man who had laughed, every man who had felt happy for a fleeting moment, had to be retrained. Because that feeling, that pure, unearned joy, was a dangerous memory, a potential crack in the Imperial armor. I filed a report, of course, but I sanitized it. I described a low-grade Slaaneshi demon, successfully purged by the Commissariat's decisive action. The true story, the yellow sponge that defeated chaos by being too relentlessly cheerful. I burned that data slate myself. Some truths are too ridiculous, too fundamentally undermining to the grim reality we must enforce. SpongeBob is still out there, floating in stasis, presumably still ridiculously happy, somewhere in the divine revelation's forgotten holds. It's a constant reminder that chaos doesn't always wear skulls and horns. Sometimes it wears square pants and sings about Krabby Patties. And that, my friends, is why we must always remain vigilant, even against fun. Now, refill my cup. I need something strong enough to erase the memory of a nautical nonsense.